him and I have had just a horrendous year.
What media family? Sorry, we've been off for say maybe a week or so. Everett had some stuff going on. Well, we're back. Everett's not joining us tonight, but Chris is back. Chris, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Glad to be back. It's been a minute. Been taking the last 2 months, it seems like, to convert a dirt car to an asphalt car. So it's good to have some time off and actually talk about racing instead of working my butt off to go racing.
Right. So how's that transition working out for you?
Yeah, the transmission blew to bits in practice at Ona last weekend. I've actually got another transmission getting ready to go in it. Once I get some time free, I'm going to throw it in. I got some stuff here at the house that got to get knocked out. I got 2 months to get it done for the next one on July the 5th at Angona, Indiana. So we're going to hopefully have a much better showing than what we've had in the last 2 VCTS events. And hopefully we can actually make the feature and maybe make a little bit of noise with this little car.
What's crazy is July 5th, I will most likely be with the IndyCar series here at Mid-Ohio doing my spiel.
Right on.
Yes, sir. All right. So we had some So we had some races last weekend. We had Kansas and we had Indianapolis. So for Kansas, Butterbean wins again. He won the Tide 150 for the ARCA Menard Series. And speaking of the ARCA Menard Series, yours truly has the opportunity to reunite with Club Racing Inc. Timber as a pit crew member to help out either the 86 or 03. I just got to get the $250 going for the over-the-wall license, and I am good to roll in September with my return. ARCA. Also so we had 2 races for the Indy NXX series. Last Friday, Lachi Hughes won his first race. It was his first race, and it happened to happen at the IMS Speedway in the GP. This was their 8500 as they no longer run the over. I wish they would bring the Freedom 100 back. My God, that was my favorite race. That was my favorite thing to watch on Fridays was the Freedom 100. I wish Roger Penske would bring it back.
Yeah, that 4 wide finish a couple years ago was just absolutely bananas.
And that was the last one.
NXT series. I think that was the last one. I mean, what a way to go out! And
absolutely.
I think there's some logistics issues with that. I think with that because it has more of an IndyCar esque, or not an IndyCar, but a Formula One esque halo as opposed to the Aero screen. I don't know if we're ever going to see the Indy lights back on an oval again. I'm trying to think if there's any oval drivers even on the any oval races on the schedule this year. I don't believe.
Yes, there is. They have. Let me pull it up.
It's Iowa and St. Louis.
I want to say. Yes, those 2, yes. And I feel like this, I mean, obviously Deegan's going to struggle because it's a new car, it's a new series, and she's not a very good road racer. How I feel at it is, here's what I think is going to happen. They're going to hit the ovals, and she's going to silence all the haters with a top 5, maybe a win on the ovals, because you put her on, she'll do good. Especially with not a whole lot of truck and the Xfinity, because you had, because I'd hate to see her career go down the drain. I mean, she's a talented driver. So like just the equipment that she had, timing in the place of her when she was in the trucks, the ARCA, she did fantastic. She did phenomenal in the ARCA series.
It seemed like in the West series and in the regional series, she did great. But when she went to the national tour, she kind of disappeared into the bushes like Homer Simpson a little bit. But we'll see what happens. I mean, this is kind of the pretty much the last stop. If you can't do it here, it may be time to maybe think about doing something else. Unfortunately.
Now, what? She can always go and join her brother.
Well, yeah. I mean, as long as there's monster money there, I think you'll be okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then Saturday, race number 2 of the Indy Next Series for the Indy Grand Prix. Dennis Hager won his 3rd race of the year. That he has a bright future ahead of him. I see him racing Indy 500 here pretty soon, but he has a bright future ahead of him. Then we got, who else do we got? Alex Palou won his 4th race of the season in what was is Alex Palou a contender to win the Indianapolis 500 next week? Say abso-freaking-lutely. He would be a guy to watch. Him, Joseph Newgarden, Helio Chavez, Kyle Larson, who struggled today. We will get back to that. We'll get to that shortly. But I feel like this Alex Palou is the driver in the IndyCar series. I don't care what anybody says. He is talented, and he is putting Chip Ganassi back on the map.
I think the last time we saw a guy like this perform in the number 10 car, it was Alex Zanardi. So been a long time since we've seen Chip Ganassi at the top of the heap like this.
Yeah. And I don't think Dario Franchitti he was the number 9, didn't he?
I think Franchitti at the time was driving for what was Team Cool Green at the time, but now it became Andretti Green, and now it's just Andretti.
You know what? Now that I think of it, he did his last year. He did race the number 10 for Chip Ganassi.
He did,
but it's going to be. He sure did. When he returned to IndyCar after his NASCAR show, before he retired abruptly. All right. Mm-hmm. Carson hosts the Craft and Truck Series. And what does he do? He wins the Heart of America 200 at Kansas Speedway. I tell you what, that battle between him and Lane Riggs was absolutely freaking amazing. But unfortunately, Lane Riggs, despite second place finish, got disqualified for a bed cover issue. That means, but Lane Riggs was also our 4-wide media driver of the race. But yeah, Lane Riggs left with a finish due to an issue with the bed cover. That was a tough disqualification for that number 34 team because they had one heck of a race.
Yes, they did. But that finish, how about that finish? That was a good old-fashioned barn burner. And
it sure was.
Man, again, the truck series, I know I always say that's NASCAR's second best product outside of the Xfinity series. But that night, they looked like the truck series of old. It was drive off in the corner, and guys were beating and banging, bouncing off the wall. They were racing all over the racetrack. That was worth the price of admission.
Absolutely. And not only that, Kansas is notorious for their finishes, especially that photo finish 1 year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Larson won Sunday's Advent Health 400 at Kansas Speedway. Up next for Kyle Larson, the Indianapolis 500 next week. Meanwhile, Josh Berry became a 4-time 4-wide media driver of the race. Awesome racing at Kansas. Now it's All-Star Weekend. It's All-Star Weekend, followed by the greatest day in racing for the final time for the next 10 years, as as beginning in 2026, it will only be the Indianapolis 500 and Coca-Cola 600 on Memorial Day weekend, as Monaco moves to the week after, or a few weeks after, which I find completely screwed up. But hey, marketing, I guess.
Well, Formula One doesn't want to share that day, and they're trying very hard to be the only name. And the only way to really do that is to give yourself your own day. We'll see how it plays out, but it was really nice to sit in your house and eat a bowl of cereal and watch the Monaco Grand Prix, and then go do some errands. Watch the Indianapolis 500. Once that finishes up, kick it over to the 600. I mean,
I'll
like
never
you said,
forget it. I want to say
greatest day in racing.
2018 was the first time I watched all 3 races in full, from Monaco to Indy to the 600. Hell, in 2015, I got up early in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and watching the 2015 Monaco Grand Prix the morning of the Indianapolis 500 in 2015. Already half fucking wasted because I got my shit started early as fuck that morning. And in 2017, did it again, and then went in and watched one hell of an Indianapolis 500 in 2017. So I've been at the Indy 500 twice, and I'm ready, and I'm itching to go back.
It really is the greatest spectacle in racing. I've been there. I was there in 2019 to watch Simon Pagenaud win it all. I actually have a signed poster of it's essentially the cover of the program for that race, which was the 50th anniversary of Mario winning it all, and it's autographed by the entire front row and the race winner. That's definitely one of the prized parts of my collection, and it's still up on my wall here at the Manor. So definitely, it's one of those things. If you're a sports fan, this is a place to be. This is the place to be. I mean, the Super Bowl is really made for people that have a lot of money. It's more of a corporate party. It's not really accessible. You can get good seats to the Indy 500 for a little over $100. Or next to nothing if you're willing to go and haul a couch with you and go sit in the infield or go party in the snake pit. It's really the place to go and watch a great show and to see the people. I mean, you're talking about essentially the entire population of the city of Kansas City, Missouri, descending on 16th in Georgetown. 250,000, 300,000 people coming to that one plot of land. It's amazing, and it is definitely one of a kind, and it just kind of makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up to think of the pomp and circumstance back home again in Indiana. Even just the old ABC theme, the Delta Force
and
theme.
One thing they say. So it was noted this morning that the race is almost sold out. Therefore, the Indy 500, the local broadcast delay has been lifted, which means if you live in a practice in Indianapolis area, you get to watch the Indianapolis 500 on TV. Over 350, almost 250,000 fans will be in the stands, plus the general admission in the infield for the 109th Indianapolis 500. That goes to show you how huge this race is. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is or what year it is. That is the biggest race in all of motorsports, including our Daytona 500.
Yeah, since the reunification of the kart, from the kart IRL war, it's really grown every single year. And again, shout out to Roger Penske and his team to put together this TV deal with Fox, put the sport in front of the people's eyeballs, and not just put it in front of the eyeballs, but the production that's been involved with Fox from the very beginning. Has there been some teething issues? Yes, but you cannot deny that putting these races in front of every person in the country on regular broadcast TV, making it accessible and putting all the races in one place makes the sport healthier. And you can see it with the attendance bump here at Indianapolis. And this has been really done in a year where Alex Palou has dominated. I mean, this is one guy that's been kicking
Absolutely.
everybody's butt. So it's been kind of quote unquote boring, but people want to see this. People want to be a part of it. You've got Tom Brady showing up. He's going to be in, I think he's going to be in the two seater. You've got a lot of big names that are going to
With
be
Jimmy
involved
Johnson,
with
so
this
you got a
thing.
pair of yep. So you got a pair of Hall of Fame, a pair of 7-time leaders, as Jimmy Johnson is returning to Indy, as he is doing the what you call it, the 2-seater. So it's not Mario Andretti this
The two seater.
time.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, man. I mean, people know who these guys are. I mean, yes, Jimmy Johnson in an Indy car was forgettable, but also people still remember him. He's still a name and still was a great driver up to the the day they got rid of the Gen 6 car. I really think that people are going to recognize those names and they're going to come out to the track to see them. So, hey, yet another home run hit by Penske. And again, I hope it's a fun, safe race. Hopefully, we get to see some passing and get to see some drama. It always seems to, come out to a pretty good show. I'd like to see Indy go back to Michigan and maybe run some
And
more
hopefully,
ovals. Yeah, that's the other thing. Hopefully,
I believe
we get a nice dry weekend.
yeah, I do believe that Roger Penske and Steels are actually in the process of bringing some ovals back to the IndyCar series next year, which does include Dover Motor Speedway.
That's one that
So
hadn't
that
been
might be
on
a
the
little
schedule
interesting.
for decades. I think that was an IRL mainstay. That place is
Yes, and
real
I know
bad fast.
yep, and I do know that uh Richmond was supposed to have been on the schedule, but when COVID hit, all of that got scratched.
Yeah, I just don't know about Indy cars at Richmond. I mean, Dover, yeah, kind of. But I mean, it would be interesting to see, what would happen. Um, I would like to see them go back to Pocono, but unfortunately, Pocono needs a lot of safety updates if they're going to bring the Indy cars back to Pocono.
Agreed. Now there is one track that they will never return to, and that's the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, that's just it's too high bank. The old Las Vegas Motor Speedway, you could get away with it. I don't even think you could take them to Kansas because of that. The banking at Kansas is a lot higher than it was when they did race there under the old layout. You'll never see them at Charlotte again. Humpy Wheeler made sure that would never happen again after fans were killed there back in, I think, in '98.
IndyCar race at Charlotte.
There was an IndyCar race at Charlotte. It was the Visionaire 500K, and they flagged it short. There was an incident where multiple cars got involved, and there was a wheel and tire assembly that went into the stands and killed a couple people. And again, that was not too long after
Yeah.
the US 500 deal, where the same thing happened at Michigan. The cars have tethers on the wheels, but still, we've had some near misses. We had one at Indianapolis a couple years ago. They've tried to make sure that that doesn't happen, but again, you've got open cockpit cars and you got open wheel cars that you know stuff can still come off of. So there, you got to think about that. So you could do a lot, but it's still, you've got open wheel cars racing at 230 plus mile an hour. So there's no silver bullet, unfortunately, and you just got to try to make the
Yeah.
fences higher and keep the parts of the cars inside on the racing surface.
Yeah, that sounds like from 2001 when CART was supposed to race the Texas Firestone 600, but they canceled the whole weekend
Mm-hmm.
because cars were reaching an average speed of 233 miles per hour. And for safety
That
of the
was
drivers, that he's wholly been.
Yeah, that was a horrible week, and that was really kind of the beginning of the end of CART. Um, that was the weekend that the movie Driven came out. That's probably
I
before you
remember
were
that.
born.
I remember
That
that.
movie was terrible, but then they turned around and they had a test at Texas, but I guess apparently guys were sandbagging in the test. And once they sent everybody out there, guys were running 230-mile-an-hour plus, and guys were pulling 5.5 Gs in the corners, and they didn't get enough time to rest on the straightaways before they were in the corner again. So guys were it's a fighter pilot thing they call graying out.
Right.
Guys were passing out, and guys would hit the wall. I think it was Mauricio Gugelmin hit the wall in turn 2, and he slid all the way down the backstretch, hit the turn 3 wall with a car that he had already knocked the side pod off of, and ended up at the exit of turn 4. And they said that guys were disoriented, passing out. They tried everything, but the horrible thing is fans were in the stands to watch the race when they called it. And I've got it on good authority from some of the old IndyCar guys I know. There was fans throwing trash and food at the crewmen, trying to load up and leave. Turned into a big legal battle between the Texas Motor Speedway. Eddie Gossage actually sued the CART series, and it was pretty nasty, and it pretty much was the beginning of the end of Champ Car. And led to the reunification in 2008.
And I tell you what, though, that unification was needed.
It was needed. I think that there's a certain point, and I've always kind of pushed for a stock car split because I want to see 2 series. I want to see one series come about that doesn't have the gimmicks, to get rid of the stage racing, to bring the cars back to a traditional stock car and run short tracks as well as speedways, and maybe put the focus on bringing in American drivers. Maybe start seeing guys like Bubba Pollard and some of the guys that have shined on short tracks. Maybe give some guys like Alex Clubb and some of the guys that have been in the ARCA series for a long period of time, like Brayton Laster and Zachary Tinkle. See those guys get an opportunity to move up and race on big time tracks, 500-mile races.
And those guys, like Alex is one hell of a driver. Brighton is one hell of a driver. Zachary Tinkle's one hell of a fucking driver. Like these ARCA guys, they are fantastic drivers. But it would be nice to see
their dad isn't the CEO of Menards or whatever, they don't get the run, and I think that there's kind of a hole in. I think you and I can both agree there is good drivers and there's not so good drivers, and then there's 10 tons of crap and then there's pay drivers. And there's a lot of guys that are there that are only there because they brought a check. I could think of a few. I don't want to throw Catherine Legg under the bus, but uh, after what we saw at Rockingham a month or so ago, she has no business in a stock car. There's some other guys that they're there because their last name is Ware, but we ain't going to get into that.
And then see Ryan Newman back in a car, Bobby Labonte back in a car, because they're out there running modifieds right now.
I think you won't see Newman back in a car full time because of the incident at Daytona. I think that he's very concerned about super speedway racing, because super speedway racing, the cars get up in the air, and now these new cars. I think he sees that these new cars are too rigid and they get in the air way too easy, and it's going to get guys hurt. It's shortened careers. You look at Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch got out of the car before he was really ready. And that's a sad deal. I mean, his incident at Pocono a few years back, if that happens in a Gen 6, he races on Sunday, and he's still racing today. There's some things that I feel.
And I tell you what, I sure do miss Kurt Busch. He was one of my favorite drivers. I sure do miss Kurt.
Kurt was starting to kind of chill out a little bit. There was that time that he was, getting in trouble, and he kind of talked himself out of a ride at Penske, and he ended up over at driving for James Finch there for a couple years. But then once he jumped back in a competitive car, he proved that he could take that ball and run with it. And sadly, he ended up, with a frontline car, but unfortunately was in that god awful next gen at Pocono when he backed it in the fence, and it ended his run before it was really time for him.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like these new cars, but that underbelly, they got to fix the underbelly. Like, there's no way Ryan Preece should be flipping twice at Daytona.
Well, my as an IndyCar guy, I see this and I'm like, oh, a car designed by Dallara getting in the air really easy. Sounds familiar. Look at the old IR11. The predecessor to the current chassis that's running in the IndyCar series. Mario Andretti was supposed to make a comeback in 2006 or 2007, ran over a piece of debris in the short chute coming out of one at Indy in a test, and cartwheeled through the air, and somehow, by the grace of God, did not end up outside the racetrack, landing on his wheels. But he said that's the end of that.
Yeah, but I'm excited for the upcoming. I'm excited for All-Star Weekend. I love North Wilkesboro.
I think that it's going to be a good time.
What's crazy, Chris? What's crazy is when they stopped racing at the year that they stopped racing at North Wilkesboro, the following year is when I became a NASCAR fan. So I never got the opportunity to ever see a Cup race at North Wilkesboro up until they brought it back a couple of years ago. And I'm like, this is a cool looking. I'm like, this is a cool ass track, but it's fast as fuck.
It is, and I liked it better when it had the old worn out surface. It made guys manage their tires. The best race of the entire weekend when they came back was the truck race. And of course, Kyle Larson put it on him in that race because he could manage his tires better than everybody else. I mean, he's a dirt guy. He's not buzzing the rear tires off. He's driving with an egg under his foot. These other guys were just getting to the corner and romping on the gas and burning the rear tires off. And that, again, the cream always rises to the top when it comes to going out and managing your equipment and running a race. And, you know, like him or not, the guy is pretty damn good as a wheelman, and he can run just about anything. It's the closest thing we've got to AJ Foyt.
Absolutely.
Probably the best guy we've had in the series overall, as well rounded as Tony Stewart was when he was active.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Tony Stewart, Tony, Danica Patrick will be on hand, and Chris Myers will be on hand for the Indianapolis 500 next weekend for their pre-race coverage. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's going to be a good team, I think, right there. Chris Myers is damn good at what he does, and Danica Patrick.
Oh yeah.
You know, Danica Patrick had some success at Indianapolis, led some laps, and then of course, you know, Tony.
She did.
Tony
20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Yep, 20 years ago. I remember that race. That was a huge, huge deal. Say what you want and say, well,
that was actually
it was still, you know, there was no slouches in that field. And she did great.
No, there was not.
Tony sadly never got an Indy 500 win. He did lead some laps. He did have some solid runs, but just never could have car survive 500 miles. Always had motor failures or something always happened to him.
And I do believe John Andretti is the only driver to complete the entire 1,100 miles.
You know, I think you're right. I'd have to go look it up.
Because I think Kurt Busch was about to, and then he had an incident in the 600. So yeah, I do believe. Nope, Tony Stewart completed it before too. So John Andretti and Tony Stewart both completed the 1,100 miles, but John Andretti was the first. May he rest in peace.
Two guys. I mean, if you're going to put a Hall of Fame together, I mean, yes, John, you know, had some great success, and I think he did win a couple Cup races, but the guy was pretty damn good as a race car driver too. Just never had the right equipment around him.
Right. And with that being said, Four Ride Media fans, it is now time to unveil our 6 legends into the first ever Hall of All-Stars for the NASCAR series. My first pick induction would be the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion, Alan Kulwicki.
All right. Yeah, that's a damn good selection. That's my guy.
Unfortunately, you know, his life was taken way too soon. Chris, who do you think our second driver should be?
You know, I'm trying to think. I mean, other than the obvious guys, you know, you've got Richard Petty, 200 wins, 7 championships, 7 Daytona 500s. I guess are we going with Hall of Famers, or are we going with deep cuts here? I mean, Kulwicki is a little bit of a deep cut, but also no one did more with less.
So we are going with drivers who competed in the All-Star race.
Oh, they have competed in the All-Star race. Well, I don't know if Petty ever did.
Yes. Well, let's find out. Let's find out.
I don't believe he did. You know, let me look. I'm looking at the 87 Winston poster I've got here. He's not here. Kyle is. Let's see.
He did.
So I think you got
the inaugural race in 1985.
I mean, that was kind of at the.
So yeah, so Richard Petty won the inaugural one. He holds the record for most All-Star race wins at 15. So yes, Richard Petty is in our Hall of All-Stars class of 2025. Let's put Davey Allison in at number 3. Who can forget one hot night in 1993? Or was it 92?
It was 92. 92. I think by the time the Winston rolled around in 93, I don't know if he was with us or not. No, he was still with us because it was like July that he was killed at Dega. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Davey's a solid pick. I think Dale Earnhardt would be another solid pick for the All Star.
Absolutely. So far as we run it down, our so far we're naming 6 drivers in this class of 2005. So far we have Alan Kowicki, Richard Petty, Davey Allison, Dale Earnhardt. Number 5 and 6. I'm gonna go for number 5. I'm going to go with my guy as a child, Jeff Gordon at number 5.
Solid pick. I almost want to make that a number. Put that at number one. I mean, the dude should have 7 championships. He is the winningest guy of the modern era. There's a lot of people that like to debate about Petty's 200 wins being a good chunk of them being against, you know, back when they were running 60 races a year and not all the best guys were all showing up to every single race. Um, so I think Jeff is a solid play, but I'm going to go with the deep cut on this one. A guy that should have had one of Dale Earnhardt's championships, if not more, and that is Mr. Tim Richmond of Ashland, Ohio. Again, 13 wins in his career, sadly cut far too short due to HIV, but definitely a hell of a wheelman once he got to Hendrick Motorsports and was kind of the prototype. If Tim Richmond doesn't get sick,
Hang on, Grace.
is Jeff Gordon signed by Rick
In the
Hendrick?
living room. Yeah, so because there's a lot of good guys, I'm going to go ahead and up the antics to at least, I'm going to say, let's go to 8. So number 8, so 7 and 8 will be the wild card drivers into the All-Star, to the Hall of All-Stars. We got to go, we talked about him earlier. We got to go with Smoke, Tony Stewart.
Tony's a solid play. I mean, to do it with only 8 guys, I mean, it's going to be tough because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be left out of this that are more than deserving. I think the last guy you got to put in there, the one that won the first All-Star race back in 1985, and that is Darrell Waltrip. 84 Cup wins, 3 championships, Mr. Boogity 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 himself. Jaws, Darrell Waltrip.
Darrell Waltrip. Ooh. Oh yeah, I can't forget Mr. Boogity Boogity Boogity. Let's see. And I know Richard Petty also won the All-Star race 15 times in his career. I do believe that is what they said. Let's double check. Yes. He participated and won the 1992 Winston All-Star race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So I say that's a pretty good solid. So we have Alan Kowicki, we got Alan Kowicki, Richard Petty, Davey Allison, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon. We have at number 6, Tim Richmond, number 7, Tony Stewart, and number 8, Darrell Waltrip. So that is our inaugural 4Wide Media Hall of All-Stars class of 2025. So we are going to be doing something over the course of the next several months. We are going to be doing at the end of the year a 4Wide Media Hall of Fame class of 2025, where we are going to select 12 of the best drivers from the entire world, past or present. We should go ahead and get our first pick, our first inductee out the way while we're doing this Hall of All-Stars. Of all the drivers in the entire world, of these entire top 12, I feel like the driver that deserves to have the first induction of the 4Wide Media Hall of Fame is none other than Rick Mears.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I think that's Rick's a solid choice. Um, I'm almost I'll almost go with Mario. If we're going to go IndyCar, we're going to have to either go Mario or AJ. But yeah, um, when it comes to performing on the
Now
biggest
again,
stage of the Rick,
now
Rick
again, we got
always.
yep, that is true. So now we do. So that is our. So we still have 11 more drivers to select, and the next selection these will be within the next couple of weeks. So it's All-Star Weekend. Let's talk All-Star Weekend, baby. Let's see. So we got the Truck Series tomorrow. Oh, who are we going to go with the Truck Series tomorrow? Ooh, it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to have to say he's been dominating all season. I got to go with Corey Heim. Corey Heim is having a heck of a season.
Corey Himes a good choice. Let me see. It's going to be tough. Let's see who's all on the entry list for this truck race. Seems like it changes week by week.
I know.
Well, Corey Heim is leading the points right now, so there's that. 3 wins and 9 starts. You can't argue with that. Let's see. No Kyle Larson in the truck race, so
because he will be in Indianapolis.
We'll be at Indianapolis, so we will see another first time North Wilkesboro winner. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and say Arca grad Grant Enfinger might have a good shot. It's kind of a dark horse pick, but I will go with Arca grad Grant Enfinger.
I don't hate that at all. Grant is one hell of a driver. Of course, he came up short. I'm kind of sad he came up short for the championship back in the fall. But hey, speaking of championship, how about that? How do you feel about the championship rotation year after year? How do you feel about that?
I think that's going to be good for the tracks. They're going to be able to pop a little bit of a number to put butts in seats. It's going to be good for the sport. And again, you're going to be, as a driver now, you're going to have to really get up on the wheel. You're not going to be able to just focus on running good at 1 or 2 different racetracks. With that rotation, you're going to have your stuff ready to roll throughout the entire championship. And again, as much as I hate the playoffs, you're going to have to really, really, really be on your game. The intensity level is going to go up a lot more.
Yeah. Now, they did say that no road courses nor super speedways will be the championship race, which I'm kind of glad they said no super speedways, because could you imagine someone trying to win a race at Daytona or Talladega and they just completely take out the entire field?
Yeah, I don't know. And the way the cars race at the super speedways, I mean, the trucks are fine, Xfinity's fine, but the next gen just is not a good show at the super speedways for whatever reason.
No.
You got to slam draft guys. You got to take a lot of risk. It's not like it used to be, unfortunately. And now with the built-in cautions, guys just ride around and save fuel until the end. Just not what it used to be. That's for sure.
They are not. But I do think that is I am excited to see I am very excited to see the championship race back at Homestead, because I tell you what, Homestead always puts on a damn show.
They do. That place is, what's funny is they left Atlanta and they took the championship race to Homestead, and then they turned Homestead into essentially the same as the old Atlanta. I mean, it's an oval track. You're in the corner forever, and you can run the top, run the bottom, you can run in the middle. It's kind of like the old Atlanta, which um, was kind of treacherous, getting on and off pit road, and so is Miami. So there's a lot of things that could reach out and bite you at that place. And if you want a championship, you got to go through that place, and that place can be a buzzsaw. Ask Carl Edwards.
Oh yeah. Agreed. Now, so now we have the All-Star Open, have the All-Star race itself. So for the heats, Kyle Larson will be staying in Indianapolis for the heats. Now the only problem is here's where it gets complicated. Kyle Larson needs to be out of Indianapolis by 5:40 p.m. on Sunday to make the All-Star race. The only problem is if he makes the Fast Six,
Yeah.
he will not be out in time for the All-Star race. So the question now is, does Allgaier race the All-Star race for Kyle Larson, or does he skip the Fast Six, start wherever he qualifies at in the 500, or does he go for the 500 pole on Sunday? That's a big question.
You know, I think if you're going to go for the Indy 500, you got to go for the best starting position you can. The one knock I have on the new Aero kit is you can't pass as easily as you could with the old DW12 with the big rear fairings in the back. So almost like no lead would be safe with that old car. But this new one, I mean, you're really going to have to be on your game. And if you're trying to come from the back, it's going to be tough. So you really want to get the best possible starting position. And it's an all-star race. It's not going to pay any points anyway. So, you put a guy in the car, maybe give a short track guy an opportunity, maybe call, maybe call a local short track guy or something to jump in it. Maybe pick some kid from the Cars Tour. But that's my take. But we'll see what happens on over the weekend.
Yeah, we will find out. So yesterday, Tony Kanaan participated in the in his refresher program. So in case it rains on Sunday, Tony Kanaan will be allowed to step.
How huge would that be to see Tony Kanaan win his second Indy 500 in somebody else's car? That'd be huge.
Right. And on top of that, when he won his first one, he won it under the heavy downpour. Oh, no, wait, he's won it twice. I was about to say.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. He has won it twice. Oh, yeah, because, that was that race that was that controversial finish with the caution light coming on.
Yep.
Back in 2002. That was Penske's return. And that was a long time ago, man.
Let's see. No, wait. No. 2002 was Helio Castroneves. Paul Tracy was leading at it was Elia who won his second of four. And I tell you what, though, I'll never forget it. His third win meant so much more to him than anything, because winning that third Indy 500 got himself out of prison sentences from tax fraud.
Really? I did not know about that. Wow.
Because he's in the process of, because basically because that year when he won Dancing with the Stars, he said it was either he had to win the Indy 500 to pay off all the tax debt, or he was going to go to prison for a long time. 500 for the third time saved his career and saved his family from prison time.
Wow. I did not know that. That's insane.
Yeah, let's see. It was right here.
That's in 2009, he was acquitted. In a movie.
Right. In 2009, he was acquitted on charges of 6 counts of tax evasion. And then basically when he won the Indianapolis 500, that basically saved his ass.
That is nuts.
So that's what's crazy. So that race meant more to him than other than obviously winning his 4th one. But let's see. We got SVG. I'm gonna go with SVG winning the All-Star Open. And then for the All-Star race, hell, I'm gonna go with for the All-Star race on Sunday. I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he's due. He's beyond due. He's had a horrendous last couple years. It'd be nice to see him finally get a win, even if it is in a non-points paying race. He's got to get that monkey off his back.
He really does.
I think it's a gorilla by now.
Like, it's been too long. It's been way too long. Like, this is not the Kyle Busch we are used to.
No. I have this expression. I call it the cliff. And there's guys that, they've had success in their career, but they just seem like they fall off a cliff. It happened to Richard Petty. It happened to Jeff Gordon a little bit, Jimmy Johnson a lot of bit. And now we're witnessing it with Kyle Busch, I have a feeling. So I don't know.
And also Chase Elliott too.
Yeah, Chase has been on the struggle bus too the last couple of years. I mean, it's for the quote unquote savior, as it people like to call him. He's been a little bit on the downside of all the guys.
Ever since he won the championship, seems like ever since he won the title in 2020, it's just been for the last 4 years or so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of that may be car too. I mean, it just takes a different skill set to drive this other car.
It does. I mean, the one thing about this new car, it sure does put on a hell of a show at some of these intermediate tracks, especially Atlanta and Kansas.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that car.
Yeah, I think they need to take all those cars back and put everybody back in the Gen 6. and make those cars what they are, IMSA GTO cars, and just make them look like street cars and make a new class for IMSA and just make them run them on street courses.
I get that. So today was Fast Friday for the IndyCar Series. Kyle Larson did have some trouble earlier, but he was able to get back out and do some runs. Scott Dixon was the fastest on Fast Friday, 230. That was his best 4-lap average. If he keeps it up, he will win the pole on Sunday. Let's see. And then we got...
Yeah, he's...
Yeah. And then we got... And then, have you seen the qualifying order for tomorrow yet, or for Sunday yet?
I have not.
Okay, so for tomorrow's qualifying order, here's your order for the 34 cars. Marcus Ericsson will roll off 1, Pat Ordward 2nd. Kyphin Simpson, who had a terrifying crash today, will roll off 3rd. Some notables: Kyle Larson will roll off 19th for a chance at the top spot. Tasha Nevis will be in 20th. Takuma Sato 21st. Scott Dixon will roll off 14th. Alex Pillow 25th. Joseph Newgarden will roll off second to last. That was the qualifying order. So it's going to be it's going to be an interesting couple of days for the IndyCar series. So I'm looking forward to see how this weekend rolls out. But it is the greatest too. It is the greatest. It is literally the greatest week in all of racing. Like Memorial Day weekend is coming up. Literally one of my favorite weekends. The Indy 500 is going to be great. The Coke 600 is going to be great. Monaco is going to be great. It was also announced today that BJ McLeod will be racing the 07 truck at Charlotte for the Truck Series. I'm excited, Chris. I'm excited, man.
It's gonna be a good weekend. I think. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and hopefully it's safe. Hopefully we maybe see a new track record at Indianapolis, but who knows? It's going to take a lot. I would like to see them crank up the boost and go for it, but still, it's going to be a great show. And
and wait till you see the graphics I have planned for the Indianapolis 500. Oh, it is going to be the greatest graphic that I've ever made for Off-Road Ride Media. So you'll have to stay. I will debut it on Sunday when we get a pole winner. It's going to be fantastic. And then once we get the Indy 500 winner, it's going to be even more fantastic. Let's just say Milk and Bricks will be involved in these graphics. It's going to be freaking wicked sweet. I will never forget it, Chris. 2017, my second Indy 500.
Right on.
When Helio Castroneves took that race lead with less than 10 laps to go, I was cheering so hard. My voice was gone with 5 to go when Takuma Sato took over with 3 laps to go. I was so excited. He looked at him like, I'm about to see history. Helio's about to win his 4th. I'm going to be here in person. And then Takuma Sato just ruins it for me.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, that was a war though, man. That was that year that, man, no lead was safe. I think they were still running that old style DW12, and man, that was with the fairings on the back, and they punched a big hole in the air. And I think they had like 90 lead changes or something stupid high, and that was a good show.
Yep. And then Scott Dixon had that crash in turn 1 where he just almost flew over the whole fence and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was just pure luck. He landed any other way on that barrier, it would have been a bad day, and just a freak accident.
Bad day.
Yeah, it just.
Yeah.
Dude, that I was watching. I remember that race because I was watching that race actually up at Rocky Hollow Lake on my phone. I was streaming the race on my phone and look over, and I got a car flying through the air.
Yep, I forgot what I was coming back from. I was coming back from getting some hot dogs. I'm thinking, what the fuck just happened? I look up at the video screen. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Because I was sitting, because I sat between turns 4 and the entrance to pit lane. So I'm just like, I look up at the screen. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
And that was the old video boards that were, from like the 90s. So you really couldn't see much.
Mm-hmm.
That was before the Penske.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell? But my first 500, Juan Pablo Montoya came from last to first in 200 laps. I'll never forget it. My uncle was a big Juan Pablo fan, and it was his first 500 in person. And him getting to see Juan Pablo basically win that 500, he was like, nah, this was worth fucking waiting for.
Yeah, and again, that was a monster run. Go from 33rd to 1st. I don't think it's ever been done before or since. So just goes to show the talent that Juan Pablo Montoya had.
And I'll never forget when I went to the 2017 500, I was cheering for Graham Rahal, Helio, of course, and Tony Kanaan. And when Tony Kanaan crashed in turn 4, I'm like, damn. Like, that broke my heart. Just to see just to see TK sitting up there coming out of turn 3, just smack dab right there, wrecked. I'm like, man, but it's gonna be a whole battle next Sunday. It's going to be great. But other than that, this has been one hell of a show, Chris. It was good to have you back on the show. Hopefully you can join us again on Monday when we wrap up All-Star Week and prepare for the Indianapolis 500 Memorial Day weekend.
Hell yeah, we could talk about the field, who made the show, who's going home. It's going to be interesting, and we're going to get to see who won the All-Star race. So we're going to have a nice recap from the Cathedral of Speed, North Wilkesboro Speedway. So going to be a good show, I think. I'm hoping to make it. So
yeah,
take us home.
All righty. Well, until then, guys, enjoy All-Star Weekend. Enjoy Indy 500 qualifying weekend. Until then, this has been 4Wide Media. We are out.
See ya.